Shani, welcome back. Okay, so I don't have any makeup on because I just got back from yoga and I'm feeling all zen and stuff, and so I don't feel like putting on makeup, but I wanted to do a video. I was gonna say a movie. So hopefully that's okay with you. And this week we are doing, finally, haven't done it in a couple weeks, our weekly roundup. This is where I rank all of the eyeshadow palettes I used over the past week from least liked to most liked. I forgot what I do. So this week we have 8 slots and 10 palettes. Who is outside so loud? I don't know why people choose when I am doing a video to make noise. It just feels like sabotage. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with number 8. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I dislike the palette. I'll tell you if I do or don't, but it's either like it didn't perform the way I wanted to that week, or I didn't like the look that I did that week. So yeah, most of the palettes I tend to typically like. But if there is one that I don't like, doing the weekly roundups really helps me to pinpoint that. So number 8, we have a palette that I actually really like a lot, and that is the MUSE palette from Cosmic Brushes. Now, this palette is very pretty. I actually really like this palette. For some reason, I didn't like the look I did as much. I used, I think, like blues and greens, and those are still shades that I sometimes am like, ugh, I don't like them. So I just didn't like the way I put things together. So that's on me. That's not on the palette. Now, I do like the Cosmic Brushes palettes. There's this one, which is Muse. There's also Royal Rose, and there's Serenity. And they always sell out really quickly. This is one that sold out in like 2 or 3 minutes, but we've already said before I'm the chosen one, and I was able to purchase one, but they did do another round of sales, and I know other people were able to get it at that time. This is a good palette. Despite that, it's coming in at number 8 this week. Number 7 is where we have 2 palettes, and those are the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic and the Natasha Denona Mini Pastel. Now, what saved this look for me is the Mini Tropic. I really enjoy this palette. I've had it for quite some time, but it still performs really well. The shades are very pigmented. Everything shows up well on my skin tone. And so I ended up using this palette a little bit more than I did the Mini Pastel. This palette is okay, but I don't think I like it. Like, it is just, like, this shade is more of a topper. I don't need toppers. I have enough toppers. Like, it doesn't give much different from what I already have. I mean, I could say that probably about, like, every shade in here. And I just don't like the colors that much. I don't know. But I tried putting it on for the look, and I was just like, I am not enjoying this. I don't like it at all. And so I ended up then going into the Mini Tropic, and I felt like I liked this one much better. I think it's because the shades are deeper, and so, like, look at that. Look at that. Wait, which other one did I use? Oh. Like, to me, these are so much more like saturated and like, hold on, let me actually get that shade here and here. Like, I just prefer these shades over these shades. So what saved the look for me was the Mini Tropic. There's a chance that I'm gonna declutter the Mini Pastel. Like, that's how much I don't like it. And you know, before I declutter a Natasha Denona palette, I make sure to use every shade several times. So, because I did that with the Metropolis. I decluttered that one. We remember, it was a sad time for a lot of people. So what I might do is focus on this palette a little bit more just to see if I like it. I think if I do keep it, it's just going to be as a companion palette. I just don't like it as much as I would hope. This is one I think you could definitely skip. Maybe if you're a lighter tone than I am, it might be something that you enjoy, but folks who are my skin tone or a little deeper, I think we can skip this one. I took a hit for you and I got it, and you're welcome. So that was number 7. Now, number 6 is actually a combination of a couple of things. So I have this, take these out, this empty magnetic palette that I filled with the Beautopsy and Monochromance palettes from HINDASH. So these are all the 12 shades from those palettes. So I went in with this, and then for some shimmers I used some new shades that I got from Pretties for Your Face. This one is called Lovelies. This one is just really pretty. Look at that. Ugh. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And this one is called Smiley, and that is the main reason why I got it, because it's called Smiley, but it's also a very pretty shade. So I went in with these shades and some of the mattes from the HINDASH palettes, and that brings this sort of like build your own palette kind of thing to be in number 6. I don't hear people talking about these palettes anymore from HINDASH, but I still like them. I feel like I can get a lot of looks from them. They are a good companion to other palettes, and I want to say that I primarily use them when I want something colorful, like these shades here, but I've also used some of these shades as like face powders, so things like contour and even setting my cream or liquid products. Like, I actually really enjoy the palettes, and I think I get more use out of them by having them in this magnetic palette rather than in the packaging that they came in. So that was 6, right? Number 5, that is this palette, the Tropicolor palette from Sydney Grace and Tina from the Fancy Face. Now, I haven't used this palette as much as I hope to, and with this one I actually only used 2 shades for the look. I used this shade here, which is Grape Nut, and this shade here, which is Cocoa Beans. It was a really simple 2 shadow look. I didn't do anything like, I really didn't use all the fun colors in here. I did something really, really simple because I wanted to. I wanted to not do something super bright and punchy. I just wanted to keep it simple and I wanted to do a 1 shadow look, but it ended up 2, but that's okay. And this one was fine. It wasn't anything I was too excited about, but that comes in at number 5 for this week, the Tropicolor palette from Sydney Grace in collab with Tina from the Fancy Face. Now, number 4 is my focus palette of the year, and it is a palette that I just have a lot of singles in. How many are in here? 12. So these are all singles from Sydney Grace. So we've got Sydney Grace represented 2 times this week. And it is just a bunch of like neutrals. I actually ended up really enjoying this palette this week. I used it for, I did a presentation to a class about what it's like to be a psychologist and have your own practice and things like that. And I just wanted something simple and easy to do. And I used this palette. I used a couple of the shades, some of the deeper shades I used, and then some of these lighter ones here. And it was just a really simple look that I really enjoyed. Hey, Rose. What you doing? Okay, so that is, what is that, number 4, number 4. That is my focus palette. That is one that I just put together myself. Let me know if you have anything like this where you just have a bunch of like warm neutrals that you have and you just use that as your go-to palette when you need something really quick. I really like that I did that, and I'm excited to continue using this throughout the year. Maybe I should do a shimmer, an all shimmer one. That was number 4. Coming in, we've got our top 3, and I'm excited about these. Number 3 is the Lure palette from Blend Bunny. Now, this is my newest Blend Bunny palette. I've used it before, I think only once or twice, because I just got it like a couple weeks ago. I did a collab with Jan, and we did a spring this or that, and we used, or spring would you rather, and we used this palette. It's funny because I think we actually picked a lot of similar shades, but I did use this one for a look this week and I really enjoyed it. It was very springy. I got a lot of compliments on it and I really liked it. I have not been disappointed by the Blend Bunny palettes that I have. I do not have like the one that came out before this one, or like the 2 that came out before this one, but I do have Blends, Surge, and the Dollhouse, and this is the 4th one to my collection of Blend Bunny palettes. So this came in at number 3. Number 2 is a bit of a surprise to me because it is a pretty like neutral, not too much going on palette, and I had already kind of used one of those this week. But number 2 is the ADEPT Cosmetics La CIENEGA palette. Now, the main reason I got this palette is because it is all things LA, all things South Central LA, where I'm from, and I just had to have it. So I used this palette just for a nice, simple work look, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of surprised myself because I think it's like there isn't anything in here that we all don't have already, but I love the way the look turned out and I was really surprised. Not surprised that I liked the palette itself, but just surprised because there's nothing like outstandingly different about it, you know? So this one comes in at number 2. I really actually like the look that I did with this one. Huh? I'm almost done. Now, number 1. We've got 2 palettes in this slot for number 1. The main palette is the Viseart Petites Shimmers Koi palette. Now, this palette, I just got this the other day and just did a look with it the other day, but I really like this palette a lot. Now, this is a palette that had been released before. It was around for a while and it was in their bigger, like bulkier packaging, and they discontinued it and they finally brought it back. I have been wanting this palette for years. So I am so glad to get my hands on it. I remember earlier in the year, they were like, Viseart was like teasing about it, and I was like, as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna get it. So it is an all shimmer palette, and I used quite a few of the shimmers, but I did want a matte to go with it, and so I paired it with the Petites Mattes Editorial Brights, which is this palette right here. So the nice thing is that I feel like they're pretty complementary. Things went really well in terms of blending this matte palette with this shimmer palette, and I just really love the look. I love everything about how I looked with the look, so look a lot. I love everything about it, and that is why these 2 come in at number 1 of the week for me. So I think that is it. You know, one other thing I want to mention is that I really enjoyed using my COLORFIX nudes from DANESSA MYRICKS. Before, you could only get them on her website, but now they are at Sephora if you want to pick them up. I actually really enjoyed how these looked when I used them during the week. If you are close to my skin tone, I used shade 9 for all over my face, and then I used... Why am I having such a hard time with that word? I used shade 9 for all over my face, and then I used shade 7 as concealer and kind of highlighting the face. So I would definitely say that this is something I really enjoyed, and I think when I do my weekly roundup of palettes, maybe I'll throw in like a product that is not a palette that I really liked using during the week, whether that's like a lip color or a foundation or something. So let me know what you think about that, just to kind of showcase other things that I have and that I enjoy. I also think I will have an empties video coming up. Not sure if folks are interested in that, but I've got some empties that I need to get rid of. But before I do that, I just kind of want to do a roundup for you. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself. I hope some of this was helpful. Please be sure to like the video, and please also subscribe to the channel. Those things really help me out a bunch. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.